to your kitchen that was an award winner in the Trends International Design Awards this year. So congratulations again on that.
Yes, thank you. Very excited.
And that's in your own home. So what's it like being both the client and the designer?
Well, quite interesting. I have done it once before, but not for a long time. I think I had a vision straight away right at the start for what I was trying to achieve with the house. But I think with that particular house, I also asked my husband to be the client. So I would pass things by him and saying, this is the direction I'm thinking of going in. What do you think? But he was pretty easy, to be honest. He let me have pretty free rein. And one thing he said to me the other day is, do you realise you've probably won more awards with that kitchen than anything else you've won with? And was it because you let me just have, really free rein? You didn't hold back on your design ideas and things. And I guess that had partly to do with it as well.
The kitchen's in the extension at the back.
Yes.
So what are the key things that drove the design of the extension as a whole?
Probably my first idea was that from the original part of the house, looking through from the front door, because it does have a bit like a villa type situation with a entrance and hallway straight through, was to be able to see right through to the backyard. And I was always thinking of what we were going to do it out the back in the way of planting and things. The front is quite reasonably high stud of 2.9 to 3 metres, and I definitely wanted the back to have height, and so it is 4.4 in the top of the peak of the with the way it rakes down on either side. But I wanted it to feel really great as far as loftiness goes. And also the other thing that to be able to see the landscape was I always had in mind steel windows and really good steel windows, and doing it in a style that really suited the house, which led to the steel beams being exposed on the with rafters and things. So that was probably the first part. And then looking at the design of placement of areas, I did change the position of the kitchen because at first it was going to be quite small, and I decided, no, this is my chance to really do something really great. And so I changed the position of the kitchen from where it was, and which has been a perfect choice, and I'm so pleased I did.
So the really impressive thing about this kitchen, I think, is the way that it's so flexible, the way that you can close the whole kitchen down, basically, or open it up. Yeah. So tell me a bit about that, about the challenges of achieving that.
Yeah, I guess it started back 20 years ago when I saw that idea in Germany, that I've always thought that was a perfect idea, especially for smaller houses and where space is at a premium, to not feel like the whole kitchen is completely open to the entertaining and living areas. And so it was just a really good timing for me, because Blum had launched these doors overseas that they'd been working on for 20 years, and I knew they were going to be available, they weren't available in New Zealand. So I approached Blum here in New Zealand and said, would you let me use those doors as the first person in New Zealand to launch that product? And it was a challenge because nobody had used that system before. We've had pocket sliders for a long time, but they've always been a bit rickety when you put them in place. This is so smooth, and so and you just press them open and they open and close partially close themselves. So the whole system is just so much better than we'd ever had before, and that system, the Bloom Ravago, actually allowed me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, which was basically all the business, all the working area could be completely shut off. I didn't have room for a butler's pantry or anything like that. So this achieved the same thing, but just by using this door system, which actually led on to had to be very detailed in the design of it, because it basically divides the back of it divides into 3 sections, and each section had to be thought through, because I didn't want to be opening doors and closing doors, although you do it in just a normal door, but these are bifold and they're high, they're 2.9. So I really had to think through how I would work in that kitchen. And so everything, so say the coffee area and wine area, which we had to have, was everything is there right at your fingertips for that area. So from cups, your coffee, your machines, your hot water and coffee tap, sparkling water tap, the storage of wine, the storage of glasses, your spoons, everything's right at your fingertips for that area. And then if you're not using it, it just gets closed off. And then the same with where the ovens are. They're completely, you don't see them till it's behind the area. But the ovens in the pantry are all there together, and pots are right opposite or underneath. Just everything's very fingertip type of thing. So a couple of walk steps to each area, but utensils, everything was thought on both sides of the island and on the back.
So the doors, you open the doors and they go back and then slide right back in.
Yes.
And you're going to have some areas open,
yes.
or all of it open, or
all
close it closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say it's quite different, the aesthetic, when it's open and closed.
Yes. I purposely did that because I wanted the look when it's closed to still have a little bit of be modern, but still have a little bit of the old house coming through. So I put a moulding or a beading on the doors to give it a bit of a classic feature. But that caused a few problems with the door system because they hadn't really taken that into it. They hadn't thought of that part. So we could only do the moulding to be no more than about 5 millimetres thick. Otherwise it would bang when it went in. So that led to me having to research how we were going to do that, where we were going to, what type of mouldings would suit, and work with my cabinet maker, and we sorted that out in the end, which I'm really happy I did. But the doors on the outside are just kept quite white and clean, but when it opens up, we've got walnut veneer and completely different look. So it still looks, when partially opened, it still looks good because the veneer just gives it that lovely warmth of the whole area. But when I'm cooking mainly in the evenings or baking or things like that, then I just open the whole thing and then close it all off. Every morning it's all completely closed off before I get into work. And yeah, it's just, and when we've got visitors, if we're entertaining, I often just close it all off and it just looks like a piece of furniture basically.
Right. So there's the flexibility. It can look like a kitchen or not look like a kitchen.
Absolutely.
But the one thing you have to have is the island. So,
yes.
So how do you deal with that? Because an island is a kitchen piece of furniture.
Yes, it is. You're right. And I toyed with that, but I always had in my mind that I wanted the background of the room to be black and white. So I found the island, I wanted it clad in the material completely, right on all 4 sides, doors, drawers, everything, and ends. And so, and I didn't want to have a lot of stools hidden, although we have got 2 bar stools, but you don't see them when you come into the room. They're sort of hidden underneath, but they can be pulled out to be used. So everything was clad in porcelain, and use the Bloom. They've got a special hinge system that actually uses to hold the porcelain doors called Expando T, and that was brilliant. So it and then on the scene from the lounge and dining side is push to open doors, all mited and things. So it looks like a block of stone. That's my intention, to make it look more like just a block of stone rather than a island.
And the thing that might have made it look more like an island would be have seating and things, and you haven't got that.
No, I just decided, and the room was quite small, so I decided we had a big dining table, and which was antique and timber, which brought in the timber from the back of the kitchen, the walnut, and just decided to keep that very clean and just plain. And it's all veined material, like it looks sort of a marbling look, but it's porcelain. It's mainly because of the weight of holding the doors on and things.
So you mentioned the adjacent area, but just how does the adjacent area work? What have you got there?
We've got our whole lounge and living area there. We've got a fireplace. One of my main things I had in my vision when I did the palette, which was from the front door, was I designed with the help of another company to I wanted some really bright carpet because the palette was quite neutral, and so my idea is when people open the door, it's big floral carpet in bright colours, and I wanted people to sort of put a smile on their face, not something a bit different than normal, just neutral carpet. So that led right down the hallway and stopped before you got just at the stairs when you came to the new extension. And then I did a rug that matched that sits in front of the quite a very contemporary modern fireplace, long. It's nearly 1800 long, and with a corner glass, and the rug just sits in front of that. So keeping all the furnishings, the chairs, quite either black or emerald green, and so it just let the carpet become the life. And then I just put cushions in and accessories. The dining table is a very old elm antique table. It's quite long. It's 2.8, nearly 2.9. And because we've got a large family, and I wanted that to be people to sit around and just relax. But the sliding steel doors can completely go either way and open up the whole space to the outside. So when you've got big events or entertaining, even though the house is not that big in New Zealand style of housing, it opens the whole backyard up, and it feels like you can go indoor, outdoor. I've had 2 tables sitting either, parallel to each other, for big events and things, and it's an amazing house for entertaining. It's not big, but it really can handle quite a lot of people. It's amazing.